Chris from Laser Lemming, and today we're going to be talking about console life cycles. What does it mean to be a console? What does it mean to be an in-between console? We got the PlayStation 4 Neo, the PS4K, whatever you want to call it, whatever Sony officially calls it, and the Xbox Scorpio. These are the next systems coming out. Now, both companies have officially acknowledged their existence. Microsoft got a head start. They did a whole promo video during E3, even though the thing doesn't really launch until late next year, it sounds like. And they're claiming it to be the most powerful console on the market at the time. Now, it's not going to be the PC, but it's going to be an expensive gaming console. And they think it's going to be the most powerful. And they probably know about Sony's specs. Speaking of Sony, PlayStation 4 Neo, you got Andrew House, the president of Sony Interactive Entertainment. He went on record recently stating something to the effect of, we're not going to be doing the smartphone thing. We're not going to be releasing a new PlayStation system every 1 to 2 years. Okay, so that was something that a lot of people speculated about, myself included. We thought maybe that if Sony was willing to bring out a new system, a new, more powerful system that could play the old games, and the old games would still work on the old system, and the new games would still work on the old system, and they were just working together, the new system just being more powerful, maybe playing it at a higher frame rate and a prettier resolution, that would just be the only advantage. And that's what Sony and Microsoft are really pushing as the only advantage. You know, these games and these systems are all going to work together, but we're not going to be doing the smartphone model. And the smartphone model, if you are from 10 years ago, I'll explain it to you. Smartphones are released every single year, usually by every major smartphone company. Motorola, Samsung, Apple, Google, whoever, T-Mobile, or LG, I should say. All these companies are creating their own smartphones, and they have their flagship brands. LG has their G5 right now, and Google has their Nexus, Motorola has their Droids, Samsung has their Galaxies, and Apple, of course, has their iPhones. And guess what? There's a new version of these phones every single year. Oh, and HTC has their HTC ones. So every company has their flagship phone they release every single year. Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo, they have their flagship systems. Now, Nintendo calls their new system a new thing every time practically, but Sony and Microsoft have been sticking with their brand names for a while now. So you got the PlayStation and the Xbox, and both we know are coming out with an iterative version of their console. You got the Scorpio and the PS4 Neo. That's a code name for both of them. Now, Sony is saying, this is not the model we're following. We are going to, of course, do it. We're going to release a more powerful system, but we're not going to be releasing a new one every 1 to 2 years. I think this is something that they're saying now, in the present, and it's something that they might be backtracking on quite a bit in the near future. It's all going to depend on the sales of these two systems. I think it's what they want, though, of course, because if they can allow developers to create new games without starting over every single time, learning new hardware every single time. Now, of course, they're going to have to learn new hardware as new hardware is introduced, like the PS4 Neo and the Xbox Scorpio, but it's going to be on a similar architecture. The PlayStation 3, the cell architecture, is so much different than the PlayStation 4. The PS4 and the Xbox One, very easy to develop for because they're very much like a PC. They are PCs, essentially, under your TV. And they're saying they're not going to do it. At least Sony is, and I'm sure Microsoft might be shooting a different, well, actually I meant to say a similar tune. They might be saying similar things soon. But Microsoft really wants to just kind of eliminate the idea of the box, even though their system is literally called the Xbox. They want the Xbox brand to be more of an idea. They want you to be purchasing games under their umbrella, whether it be on the Xbox One itself, the Scorpio itself, the Windows 10 PC itself, the tablets, the computers. It doesn't matter. They want you purchasing the games from them. They'd like to get into that whole games as a service business model. Quote me on that. Same thing with Sony. It's very evident with Sony already, if you haven't noticed, with PlayStation Now. They want you to rent and stream games. They would love for that to be their future, because you would not own anything. You'd just be constantly renting, constantly paying for games. They'd be paying for a service. If Sony can guarantee at $30 a month from you for games in general, streaming, they would do it. they would do it in a heartbeat because they can't guarantee that from you right now. Because people will buy 3-4 games a year, generally speaking. Most people aren't buying a game every single month. Now, there's an exception to certain people that watch videos like this because you actually try to keep up with the mood of the industry, the trends of the industry. You actually care. You're actually looking into learning more. Most people are not like that. Most people are kind of casual to it. See, they might get their Call of Duty every year, their Madden every year, maybe a Ubisoft game every year, and maybe branch out a little bit. But for the most part, they kind of know what they like, and they don't really try too many different things. Sony would like to bank on those people. And if they got their way, those same people might be more willing to try different things if they had more options. If they didn't have to pay separately, knowingly, for a new game. If they didn't have to fork over $60 for a game they had never heard of, they might be more willing to try it. That's me playing devil's advocate and saying one of the positives that might come about from that sort of thing. I'm not looking forward to that sort of thing myself because I don't want to pay to stream a game. I would like to own the game. I'd like to be able to say, if I don't want to play this game right now, I can play it God knows when, offline. I don't need to update my system. I don't need to pay Sony for the privilege to play a game I already purchased. That's just my thoughts on it. But I'd like to know yours. What do you think? Do you believe Sony? Do you believe a hypothetical Microsoft saying that we are not going to be following the smartphone model, even though they would love it? It would be difficult because a big box under your TV, replacing that, takes a little bit more mental justification than replacing a small little phone. Because you typically replace the phone, well, a lot of people in first worlds typically replace the phone every 2 years or so. Doing that with a big box under the TV, it takes a little bit more mental gymnastics. My thoughts so far on it, at least. Let me know yours. Comment below. Subscribe for more if you haven't already. Check out upandloaded.com. It's got lots of good stuff, including videos like these and comedy videos, and soon, videos from other people. It's going to be good stuff. So, I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. Talk to you later.